Well, welcome everybody. Hello, I am Dr. Ted Barnett, the high-tech doctor with low-tech solutions, and I am the president and founder of Rochester Lifestyle Medicine Institute. I'm so excited to welcome you all to our February Lifestyle as Medicine lecture. Tonight, a recipe for communicating optimal wellness in diverse communities with Dawn Hilton-Williams. And I'd like to also announce we have a new sliding scale pricing system for our 15-day whole food plant-based jumpstart. To make Jumpstart accessible to as many people as possible, we now have a pay-it-forward pricing model. The regular price remains $299 with options ranging from $99 to $499. Those who pay the regular price of $299 or a higher price help others to have better health and move us all toward a healthy planet. These are some of our programs that we are interested in having you learn about and partnering with if you are partnering with us if you are a healthcare professional or telling your friends about our flagship program, the 15-day Whole Food Plant-Based Jumpstart, which has now reached over 2,500 people in 44 states and 9 countries, with almost 400 doctors who have referred at least one patient to us. We also run the ACLM certified LIFT project and our own health coaching program. Our Lifestyle as Medicine lectures are hosted on our friendly community platform, the Pale Blue Dot Community, which includes LAM video recordings, transcripts, chat logs, and discussion spaces. Also incorporates events, courses, and programs. We also have an app which you can use on either your iPhone or your Android. If you'd like to subscribe, there is a $5 per month fee that helps keep it ad-free, troll-free, and respectful. There is a 30-day free trial if you'd like to try out the subscription. Of course, you can still come to events like this. You don't have to actually have a paid subscription. You just need to have an account to attend these events. But if you'd like to have access to more information, more materials, more videos, recordings, that type of thing, please consider subscribing. It does help the organization quite a bit. Dawn Hilton-Williams is also known as the Vegucator. She champions whole food plant-based living and health equity. She's founder of Urban Eats and is co-founding executive director of Power is Giving. She is a certified nutrition professional, wellness columnist, and author of the physician-endorsed cookbook, Flavor My Plate. Through presentations, demos, and media appearances, Dawn provides evidence-based culinary and nutritional education to individuals and organizations focusing on optimizing wellness in racialized communities. And now I'd like to turn it over to Dawn Hilton-Williams, who will be presenting a recipe for communicating optimal wellness in diverse communities. Hello, Dawn.
Hi, Ted.
Welcome.
How are you? Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate being invited
Absolutely.
to this wonderful platform where we're all together trying to make a difference in the community. So
Yeah,
thank you
great.
for sharing.
Absolutely.
Again, thank you, everybody. My name is Dawn Hilton-Williams. I'm very excited to be here to communicate winning recipes for optimal wellness in communities that are diverse. Certainly, the reason this is important is because we're all about the same work in the community, reducing risk factors for chronic disease, mitigating risk factors for chronic diseases that are lifestyle driven. And it's very hard to get that message across if you're not aligned and people aren't understood, the collaboration or the communication isn't good, right? And you don't know why, because your heart is in it. So what I'm looking to do is provide a winning recipe for you to be able to communicate your passion about helping those that are disproportionately impacted by chronic disease through good communication and collaboration in community. So on that note, I hope this presentation will help you in your journey in helping the communities that need it most. So as Ted said, I'm the Vegucator, but who would name themselves a Vegucator? I did not. The Greenville News, when I did a story on me, and after the talking to the journalist, she said, we ended up talking about, I educate people about vegetables. I was a chef and a caterer, and in corporate and community caterer and a chef. And I used, until my husband had the health scare, I was not plant-based. And when my husband had the health scare, my immediate decision was to go to, I found the Cornell program, the eCornell program with Dr. Campbell. And I immediately took that course, and I lost 95 to 98% of my business in 1 day, in 1 month, because I stopped serving food that I would not serve my family to my customers. So that gave me a year to, about a year to revamp my business and look at ways to help the community. And in that time, I created these programs through Power is Giving that helps to inform community about how to change your lifestyle. And I started going to conferences. I have a bachelor's degree in political science. So certainly I wasn't getting any CEU hours, but I was going to the conferences where where the continuing education hours were offered, because that gave me an opportunity to meet doctors that I had seen on Forks Over Knives, What the Health, and different films. And it gave me an opportunity to learn what doctors were learning, because I wanted to be close to a connection, is what we're going to talk about, collaboration. And in order to do that, I needed to be in those spaces. So that's why I got the name of Educator, because I educated people about vegetables, but I also knew a little bit about nutrition, which made me a little different as a chef and as a community educator. So I am author of this cookbook, and I am a contributing columnist for the oldest African-American magazine in the Southeast, called Pride Magazine. And in that magazine, I'm not sure if you can see the thing there, I have a column called The Vegucator, and it's a bi-monthly magazine. And I write about whole food, plant-based nutrition in every issue. And it's always focused on disproportionately impacted communities. So that's me. And I'm going to move on to the next slide. So veganism, it's changed over the years. I remember, what kind of veganism are we talking about? You have to think about, when you go to communities, the conversation is plant-based, whole food plant-based, mostly plant-based, veganism, raw veganism. What kind of veganism are we talking about? There's so many different areas of veganism now. And African Americans are actually trending as the leading in America. 8% of African Americans are vegetarian or vegan, as opposed to 3% for the rest of the country. So actually, African Americans are trending that way, but I don't know if we're trending the right way in what we're eating that's vegan. So it's very important that we have these conversations, because we don't want to trend on bad habits of highly processed food. So what is veganism these days? And what are you pitching when you go out in the community about veganism? So which is your pitch, is what I like to call it. There's so many aspects to veganism now. It's hard to have the conversation. Imagine how hard it is for those who aren't vegans to try to figure this out. So it's important that we know what we're pitching. Are we pitching whole food plant-based, which is what I pitch? I pitch whole food plant-based and ethical veganism. But I don't pitch the ethical veganism. I pitch the whole food plant-based, and another one as well. We'll get to that in a minute. But these are the different categories, the three that people talk about a lot. And they all have different characteristics. They're all, not eating animals and dairy. However, they're not all health focused, as you can see. Certainly, they're all significantly better than eating any animals at all, and the dangers of that and the harm of that. But a lot of people don't care about all that. So this is confusing to people. You have the whole food plant-based vegan, you have the raw vegan, you have the ethical vegan. And if that wasn't enough, you have the alkaline vegan, and then you have Black veganism. So some of you may not, I might be going too fast, and some of you may not be aware of what an alkaline vegan even is, but many of you already know what this is. Whole food plant-based vegan, you're 90 to 100% eating non-animal based foods or animal derived foods. You may wear leather, you may not. I don't, because I'm also a vegan. But you're much more focused on health. You typically have the other lifestyle characteristics that are indicative of whole food plant-based living, which is cessation of smoking, minimal to no drinking, 30 minutes of moderate exercise a day, and those things that you would find on a daily dozen of Dr. Greger's, that kind of thing. If you're raw vegan, And of course, usually when you're whole food plant-based, you usually have some understanding of nutrition. So when someone strikes up a conversation, you could talk about the optimal benefits of a plant-based lifestyle on health. Raw veganism is usually health focused. They don't normally cook the food. There's this idea that, a lot of the nutrients are lost in that process, so they eat the raw food. And sometimes they're versed in nutritional benefits because they're health focused. The ethical vegan, however, tends to, unless they have a combination of one of these other ones, they tend to not be focused on nutrition at all. It's focused on not harming animals, not bringing harm. They don't wear anything that pertains to an animal. They don't use products that have been derived from animals, and they definitely don't eat them. But they don't normally know what to say at the party when it comes to the nutritional benefits of a plant-based lifestyle. And that's a problem. That is really a problem, especially in Black and brown communities, when it comes to being able to articulate the benefits from the health benefits so that someone can come up with a why. So back to these screens. What's an alkaline vegan? Many people may not know. An alkaline vegan is from the school of thought of Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi, as we know, was not a real doctor. He was certainly a popular figure, and he has passed on. He's a popular figure, and he talked a lot about alkaline veganism. He talked a lot about dispelling all mucus from the body. We know we need mucus. And again, he was on the right track, but got off the train somewhere, and sometimes he wasn't quite where he needed to be. So there tends to be some confusion in communities as related to what to eat. So when you're approaching someone that's Black and brown in the community, you'll hear a lot about Dr. Sebi. So it's important that you know about Dr. Sebi and alkaline veganism if you're going to have conversations in Black and brown communities, especially among those who are somewhat younger. And I'm 57. So if we're talking about people that are below 55, 57, we're familiar with Dr. Sebi, and his reputation was strong in the community. So he also thought carrots were not healthy, broccoli. He knocked off half the fruits and said they were GMOs, so they weren't real fruits. So we have to be able to just know this so we can dispel some of the mythical things that the incorrect things that he was saying. He was on the right track, but got off somewhere and took people with him. So again, it's still vegan though. But there's not a lot, all the education isn't there. So here's what he said about alkaline veganism. So if you're going into our communities, it's important you know about Dr. Sebi, because that will come up. Black veganism was started by the founder of Black Vegans Rock, or Black Girls Rock, right there. Vegan activist AFCO, her sister, talked about veganism, and it highlights the intersectionality between social justice and animal welfare and non-human animals and systemic racism. So that's another piece of the puzzle. So when you're talking to Black and brown communities, we've probably heard of all this, the raw, the ethical, the whole food plant-based. So you kind of have to know your audience when you're going to the community to talk, because you have to know what you're pitching when you're going into the room. When you're going to the Southern Baptist Church, where the older ladies are, or whether you're going to a younger group that'll be talking about alkaline veganism. So you kind of have to know a little bit of all of that if you're going to be a proponent of making differences and changes in Black and brown communities. So on that, we'll go to allyship. I want to make sure I don't run out of time. Allyship, what is that? So what does it mean to be an ally? It means different things to different people, and I'm going to move this out of the way for myself. What does it mean to be an ally? But really, it means a lot of things to a friend, a supporter, but it really just essentially means to unite oneself, to promote a common interest. And to work to create positive change. Now, a lot of people try the positive change one, but the common interest becomes challenging. And I say that for a reason. Often we have the greatest heart in the world, and our effort and our interest is to change something and to make a difference, but we don't always know what the common interest is. it may not, the person that you're trying to help may not have any idea that the common interest might not be there. So the allyship starts off wrong. You know, first thing you have to do is compel the person to believe that they need to work on their health, because there are a lot of the belief systems in the communities of color center around it's in my DNA. No, I can't do anything about it. It's genetic. There's no conversation about epigenetics or anything. So you have to first convey the evidence that the common interest should be to be an ally with promoting the health of not just not eating animals for the welfare of it, but promoting the health, because that's pretty important in Black and brown communities. The animal agriculture direction won't work often. It's not where you're going to get the most movement of the needle. So let's work on being allies. What does that look like? Well, I'm trying to change that. 1 second. Here we go. Clicking too fast. So what does that look like? We have in the recipe to allyship, we have 3 C's. The 3 C's of allyship, I would call them: communication, collaboration, and connection. Those are the 3 C's. And in those, they seem pretty straightforward and simple. And like we already do them. Oh, I communicate well. I'm a good collaborator, that kind of thing. But the reality is, okay, I didn't do that. I did. I'm sorry. The reality is we may not do those things as well as we think we are, because we're so excited about getting the change out. We're so excited about getting the word out about how to save your life, how to reverse, prevent, mitigate chronic disease. We're so excited about that, and how to change the plate so that it can nourish you, not harm you. We might forget these elements. So we're just going to do a little refresher on the 3 C's of allyship. So, oh, it went right. Thank you. I thought it was going to go wrong, the wrong direction. Okay, so communication is the first C. This is the most important one. If you cannot communicate with the person, it's really going to be hard to do a breakthrough, to get them to believe in a why, or to understand what's happening. So cultural traditions are critically important. You have to respect the food customs and the community values and the groups that you're messaging, whether it's an indigenous Native American or someone from a Jamaican community, or those are ethnic and cultural traditions, or or African American community, where the grandmother is present in the home and she cooked the whole time. You have to look at what those foods are so that you can make that connection. Because once you make that connection, you can start building trust, right? So understanding the cultural tradition is a part of communication. And again, you can graduate to other things, but you must start here with the cultural tradition, because it's a respect thing. So on from that, another part of communication is engagement styles. Tailor your engagement to the room. Depending on where I am, I'm going to tailor my engagement. I'm not going to change myself completely. I'm not going to do what we call code switching in Black and brown communities, but I am going to know my audience and know how to communicate and convey the message so that it'll be heard, right? Can't do that if I just want to do it the way I do it. If I'm really trying to make impact, I've got to understand the room. So that's a very important component of communicating messaging. Someone's got to tell me before I get there, are most of the people 25 years old, or 20 to 30 years old, or are they, over in their 60s? Are most of the people healthy? Am I going to Loma Linda, or am I going to a tragic food? Am I going to somewhere where there's food apartheid going on, right? So I've got to understand my room so that I can speak to what's important in that room. So understand, and then I've got to engage that room in a way that they'll hear it. So that's another one. And the final one is understanding. Practice active listening, and understanding the context and the climate and the needs. Look, right now, there's a lot of tumult going on in communities of color with DEI rollbacks and I can just name all the things. There are a lot of things on the mind that have nothing, they're distractions away from the fact that every 40 seconds someone has a stroke and every 4 minutes somebody dies from it. There are a lot of other shiny things going on, but nothing's more shiny than your health. So you've got to listen and then understand the context of the other things that are going on. And then you've got to take that into consideration as you're preparing to communicate or convey what's necessary to get the health across to that audience or those audiences. So that's communication. That's the most important one. Collaboration is important as well. Just checking the time. Got a few minutes. Collaboration is important as well. The other C, a lot of times we don't check to see first, is there an existing organization in the community already doing what you're endeavoring to do or you're bringing? If so, they may not be doing it in that way. They may not be doing it plant-based, but can you work with them to roll that in and then maybe help them to, and almost train the trainer, if you will, to get them prepared so that they can train the community and you come in as a collaborating partner. Sometimes that works better because you have a Batman to the Robin. You got a partner in the situation and a trusted ally already on deck. So identify organizations like Urban League, NAACP. These organizations are not vegan in any way, shape, or form, but they want health. They want healthiness, and they just don't know what they don't know. So if you went to them and scheduled a meeting and tried to collaborate, I'm certain that would be embraced. But to step over them when they're already trying to do things in the community, you may not get their attention when it comes to having a program. You may not get their attention because they may feel that you overstepped. So it's important to reach out to the organizations, the churches, the leadership in the communities that already have the attention of the community so that you can work on a collaboration or at least extend the olive branch to have one. Number 2, leverage relationships. If you have some people in the community that have lived experience in community ties, they should be your first point of connection to collaborate. If there's a local state house representative in a community where they're experiencing nutrition redlining or food apartheid, make a call, send an email, leverage that relationship so that they can stand for you and put your name ahead and make a call for you and do a soft intro. This is so that you can have the audience you want. And then you have a built-in trust because they have lived experience and they already have trust. You may not, right? There might be politeness, but you might not have trust, and you need trust to make change, right? So leverage relationships and look at existing organizations to do that as well. Alignment, make sure your expertise matches the community's primary focus and need. If my expertise is cooking demo and some nutrition, I'm going to bring a physician in with me. I do this all the time. I have year-round programs with Power is Giving, 8 to 12 year-round programs, and I bring physicians in. And I also have tennis programs, Fit and Fuel tennis programs. I do not coach the tennis program. My daughter was a D1 tennis player. She does that. She brings in the tennis coaches. I do the food. You have to bring in and align rightly with what the need is in the context of the community and how you might appeal to them, right? So you bring in other partners. So collaboration is critical. Looks like I have a few more minutes. Let's go on to the next slide. Connection. So here's a connection slide. You're at the top of this pyramid because it's your idea, it's your concept, it's your passion. But it's important with that you build the trust. And to do that, you need a trust liaison, someone in the community that that can give you earnest feedback on maybe what you're about to present, perhaps taste the food, all the different things. And if you're going to Black and brown communities, please bring some food. We like to eat. Everyone likes to eat. But if you want to incentivize people to come, food is a good incentive. So again, you need a trust bridge liaison to help in making those connections, the soft intros, the earnest feedback about your presentation, or even the food that you're about to present, or even the menu. If they haven't tasted it, they may be out of town. But it's important to facilitate that. Community partner, you've got to find a community partner, whether it's the church leader, the mother of the church, a community leader of some kind, urban league leader, someone in the community that leads a neighborhood block leader. It could be anybody, but someone that has the ear of the community that's trusted so that you don't have to spend 6 months building trust. That's a waste of time. You can curve that timeline by making connection. So food apartheid. So I'm taking a shift over to food apartheid. I've said that maybe 2 or 3 times on this call already. And what is food apartheid? A lot of people don't know what it is because it's a word. It's not a concept that's discussed as much as food deserts. So what is it? It's more than a grocery store, I can tell you that. According to inequities, food deserts are geographic areas where residents have little to no convenient options for securing healthy foods, fresh fruits or veggies. Whereas, and the reason they don't have it are systemic inequities. So the reason behind not having it is part of it, right? So that's food desert. But the slides are out of order. Here we go. So let's try that again. Food apartheid. A system of segregation that divides those that have access to an abundance of nutritious food and health-based resources that have been denied due to systemic injustice. So I'm sorry about the slides being out of order. So this is food apartheid. Food desert, since we already went there, is what the U.S. That has been designated as a 1 mile from a grocery store in an urban area. You don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables for a mile. And in a rural area, it is 10 miles. That's a food desert considered, designation. But when you talk to African Americans, we don't think we live in a desert. We don't think our families live in deserts. Folks who are in rural communities don't think they live in a desert. No one's living in a desert. Yeah, unless you literally do. This desert, it brings about ideas of different things: barren, empty, dry. As you can see, this picture kind of shows you, right? This is what it makes you think of. But when you think about food apartheid, this is more realistic about what is really happening in communities. It's a segregation of kind. It's a type of segregation where there are haves that have access and then there are have-nots. And there's a reason. It's not because there's not vegetables around. It's because there's a systemic inequity that has long-time systemic inequities that have made this injustice happen. So the access isn't there. The grocery stores aren't there. The Family Dollar or the food stores that are in the area, the smaller grocers have foods that are highly processed, that are harmful to the community, not helpful. And the grocery stores aren't coming back. And even if they do, they're feeling like they're not going to be able to make money. So there's nutrition redlining involved in food apartheid. It's a much larger system. And it really is indicative of lack of justice in communities that are systemic. So this is what we say when we're in communities. We don't say food desert. I don't know any African Americans that say food desert. We say food apartheid. And we've got to change that. So allyship in that area is important. So when you look at food deserts and food, this is what you see. Food apartheid, you see this. And this is what a food desert reminds me of. When someone shows me pictures of this, I think food deserts, okay? This broken down area, abandoned, poor kid, and there's some of that. There's some of that, but that's all the people talk about. I'm sorry, my dog. Sorry. That's not go Rocky. Rescued pity. I'm vegan all the way. What's highlighted is this, but what's ignored is this. This is primarily what you see in these communities. You see vibrant, happy people needing your support and trying to make it in a society where we've been put down, put under, right? But they're still thriving, right? So this is more representative of what the communities are. They're thriving. There's no desert here. It's food apartheid. And there are a lot of people in communities trying to do it themselves, trying to make a difference. And people are still happy. We have people still coaching kids. We have kids still wanting to learn. And we have men intact families still in the community trying to take care of family. So this is really what's being ignored when you talk about food desert, which is why it's important to learn about food apartheid so that you can understand this a little bit better when you're approaching these communities. It looks like we're at 8:03, so I have 7 minutes. Let me hurry. So I'm wrapping that part up, and it looks like my slides are in perfectly wrong order, but we'll go to the snapshot of do's and don'ts. When you're going into communities and you're doing the cooking, you know, when you go to the community, please bring some food. This is a good time picture. This is having fun in the kitchen. This is a cooking demo. But let's say you're just doing a tasting or you're doing a lunch provision. Here are some do's and don'ts. Please do, before you proceed, do bring food and serve it before before your lecture. Don't start a lecture about something that people may not want to hear about or may not trust before you feed them some delicious, culturally resonant food. It'll generate a buzz. It'll get the room excited. People love good food. So if it's good, it's going to get people centered and listening. It's a carrot, if you will. Get people fed. Here's a don't. Don't ignore cultural context. Don't bring edamame to the collard green party, if that makes sense. Don't bring it. Don't bring it on the first try. Don't do it. It'll be a mistake. You'll lose people. They won't hear you, and they'll politely eat it and move it around the plate, and it's not going to be eaten. I love edamame salad. I put calamatas with mine and all those things, but it's not, you have to know the room. You got to know the room. Don't ignore the cultural context. And do emphasize accessibility. Ensure that it's flavorful and that you provide recipe cards, because people want, if it's really good, they're going to want to know how to do it at home. So here's the do's and don'ts. I love juicing. But when you're going to this, is this a do or don't? This is a don't. This is a don't. This juicing one. Don't do this. Don't come in your first run to a community center, or even if the people tell you to do it, don't listen. They're being polite. Do not bring this on the first run. Don't bring this, okay? So don't bring this. Bring this on the third or fourth run once they like your food, then sneak it in. But don't bring it as the first run. You'll lose them. You'll lose their attention. The second one, do you bring this one? Do or don't? Don't. Don't bring junk food when people are trying to get off junk food. And people in Black and brown communities, there's surrounded by highly processed food, fast food restaurants, and all this terrible stuff. And then to switch off for more French fries, vegan French because they're free vegan, in a Beyond Burger. That is not the answer. In a white bread with some sesame seeds on it. That's not it either. And a little piece of avocado or something. That's butter lettuce. Now that's probably not vegan in this picture, but you get the idea. Don't bring Beyond Meat and all this stuff to these places. We're trying to get people to start off right. Collard greens, yes, I give this a check. Edamame salad, that is my edamame salad. These are all my dishes, by the way. These 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. This looks good. This edamame salad, the collard greens are an automatic yes. These look good. They're not good for the first. They're like this one. They're like the juicing. Don't bring these first, because they're gonna say, the question will be, what is edamame? I heard soy is not good for you. Dr. Sebi said soy is not good for you. It'll be a whole conversation and you'll lose, they'll distract the room from your message. So don't do it. Do it later. Creole red beans and rice. We can get rid of the white rice and put some brown rice right here. You'll be winning. This is a winner. Creole red beans and some rice and some collard greens. Look at that combination. We're winning. We're winning the attention and ears of the room. And then you have some roasted sweet potatoes. Can't go wrong with those. Okay, these are your do's and don'ts. Now, keys to ingredients for successful alliances: prioritize collaboration. We're just kind of doing a recap. Prioritize collaboration. It's so important to do the collaboration. It'll really make a difference. You'll see a major difference in the amount of connection to what you're trying to present. Be familiar with systemic inequities. You have to know what's going on. I know this seems like heavy lifting, but if you're going to go into communities where there's heaviness, you have to have done some heavy lifting. When I went into the space of education, and in communities. I did not go in without having gone to many conferences in which I do not have 8 years in medical school. I have 4 years in a political science degree, and I have a certification. I went to a year's worth of conferences and still go to CEU conferences because I wanted to be able to bring back good information to my community, because so I listened at conferences where I wasn't fitting, right? But I could go. So it's important because I wanted to be able to educate and tackle root cause. Can't do that if I didn't have any information with me. What if a doctor, I couldn't get one? It's important that I have some information. So it's important that you know what's going on in these communities before you go. Embrace active listening. Be open to conversations and feedback. If you send a presentation to someone and they say, that's kind of ignoring stuff, or that you're gonna do what? We're gonna do bok choy in a what? No, you're gonna do a broccoli rabe. No. You're gonna do a nice lasagna with mushrooms, and that's gonna be great. Perfect. Okay. So just be actively listening to folks if you're gonna go to a community. And deepen your understanding of cultural norms and practices and challenges faced by communities in which you're going to serve. Let me see. I think we're on our last slide. It's actually perfect timing. So this is the call to action slide. It's a quote that I've said: be acutely aware, genuinely empathetic, and actively engaged in understanding the tapestry of systemic challenges faced by disenfranchised communities. That's going to be the key to this change, that quote and everything that we shared here. So I think that's it. And if you have any questions, I'm here for them. If you go to this QR code, you can find out more about Power is Giving.
Well, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, Dawn.
Thank
And
you.
great job. Beautiful slides. I'm going to invite our medical director, Dr. Carrie Graff, to also come on the Zoom room here. And I think you met earlier. So, Carrie, do we have some questions?
Well, not yet. So I'm encouraging people to put questions in the chat. But Don, thank you so much for that presentation. And I think it's a great reminder how we can get so wrapped up in our own little worlds and our own cultural communities, and we kind of forget that things look different, and we got to be really sensitive to that. I heard about the food apartheid before, and I heard something about, and I wanted to know if you could, if you knew more about this or could elaborate on it, that basically these neighborhoods are really targeted for fast food restaurants. So that's actually, they get a much higher density of fast food restaurants that is elsewhere. It's not just like that's the only thing that's available. It's like available absolutely everywhere. Do you know anything about kind of how that happens, and whether it's zoning laws or whether it's if there are limits, or just can you speak more to that?
Sure, Carrie. So yes, I'm glad. It's a very good question. It stemmed from nutrition redlining. Nutrition redlining is when a big box store leaves a community, and then that's that open space, right? And they leave it and they don't come back. So it's a divested space this big. So the only kind of things that can fill that space, normally in a strip mall or something like that, would be a Family Dollar, a Dollar General, these kind of stores. And they target, market, and sell foods that they know sell well in the community. And that would be highly processed foods in the freezer, right? And then junk food all over the store, because it's easy, quick, and cheap. And so it is targeted, but it's more because of the flight of corporate entities from those neighborhoods. So when the flight happened, the big spaces are left there. And when those big spaces are there, they fill in with cheap fillers. And those cheap fillers kill communities, right? And again, if you target market, as far as with the junk food, I mean, if you've ever been in, so when I do presentations in community, I actually go to the community first, and I go to the Family Dollar or whatever Dollar General, and I'm not naming these stores because they're bad people. That's the stores that are there. And I go and I look and see what's on the shelves in every community, and it's the same thing. Up front is the highly processed sugar and fats. And then on the shelves in the corner is 40 grams sugar sodas. And then there's frozen highly processed animal protein, and there's all this sugar and ice cream. It's a death trap, right? And it can be in any store, but it's in concentration in those communities where it's in walking distance. So yeah, I just think it's by nature of the fact that the bigger boxes left, and that's where nutrition redlining came in. And nutrition redlining, you can look at, I would, recommend people just take a look at it. Nutrition redlining is a real thing. And that's what led to this food apartheid.
Can you talk more about what that term redlining means?
So originally redlining had initially started with neighborhoods as far as not being able to buy homes. You put African Americans or people of color in a certain neighborhood, you zone them, if you will, where, or in the redlining, so they couldn't buy homes unless it was right here, come over there, right? And that also fell into the same thing. And over the years, it said, okay, we got rid of the nutrient, we got rid of that redlining, but then you gave another one. So now we have nutrition redlining. So that came into play. And after the nutrition redlining came into play, the food apartheid came in, because those are one of those just continual systemic inequities that continue to provide the generational health poverty, right? So you can't get it out of your mind, because it's a cycle. Even if you move out of the community, auntie or somebody's still staying there and they're still having that experience. So that's still normalized. So, yeah.
And I know one of the things that's been proposed is giving food stamps double benefits for fruits and veggies, which is great if you've got fruits and vegetables available, but if you don't have any, it's kind of a moot point, right?
Yeah, great point. I mean, Carrie, even if let's say you gave the double food stamps and the WIC and you did all of that. People forgot how to cook. Let's not forget that part. You can put another grocery store, you can put a Whole Foods or Food Fresh Market. We've got to not only change the food dynamic and access, we've got to re-educate on cooking, because we don't cook anymore. My daughter's 29, she knows how to cook, but most girls her age don't. And then you have the grandmothers in the community that are infirm with disease and, metabolic syndrome. These are sick people. They can't cook. And if they do, they're going to go back and cook what they're normally cooking. So we have to educate this layer in their 20s to 40s somewhere. They need to learn how to cook, because it doesn't matter what you put in the community if it's still easier to go to Chick-fil-A or Family Dollar. If it's still quicker and easier, and it's quick to make plants. All of us on this call know that. But if you don't remember that, you don't know that, you're going to think it costs more, because it currently does, and you're going to think it takes longer time. And that's not true.
Carol Barnett asks, which of your recipes have gotten the most enthusiastic response from the people you presented them to? So it sounds like your red beans really did.
So, gosh, it's hard to say. So here's the thing about when you write a book, because it's 2019, I've done like a whole bunch more since then, and I give free recipes online. The lasagna, I use a tofu, but since that time in the book, I had a bechamel sauce. How long does a bechamel take? Who has time for all this? I do a tofu ricotta. So the tofu ricotta is easy. The lasagna is a big hit in the communities. The collard greens with the cornbread and the Creole red beans, that's always a hit, because it's very culturally resonant, right? I do the Three Sisters stew when I go to Native American indigenous communities. So it just depends on the audience, but I guess the sweet potato chili does a lot. It's hard. If you can cook, it's going to be good, but you got to have one eye on the cultural part, even if it's just the spices and the herbs, because you may not know how to do all. Just do one dish that's a cultural nod if you're not going to do all of them.
Your collard greens, how do you make them? Can you give us some details?
So I just liquid smoke, a little liquid smoke. I mean, pretty much apple cider vinegar. I take out the stems. I hate stocky stems. I give the
Still
stocky
with
stems.
you on that. Yeah, they're
They're
pretty hard.
My dog loves them though. Rocky, my rescue pit, he eats them as a snack. I give it to him and he gets to eat all the stocky stems. He's a very happy boy. And I just cook them down with a little water and some garlic powder. I don't use garlic. No, I don't use the actual garlic. And if I do, I roast it, because then it can give me a little smoky. It's
So it's
pretty,
like the liquid smoke is like the secret ingredient.
and liquid smoke
Enough
gives
to get
it
the
a bit,
bacon out of them.
and then just the way you cut it, so that it's, I mean, there are ways to, if you cut it in a chiffonade way, it cooks differently than if you cut it in squares in the timing of the cooking. So it depends on what your presentation is. If I'm going to the community, I'm not chiffonading. If I'm at home, I'm doing chiffonade. If I'm going to communities, I'm rolling it and I'm just cutting and I'm not doing chiffonade. And then of course onions and, you know, garlic powder, onion powder, you know, the usual suspects, nothing out of the way, just not heavy. I'm just very hot sauce, Texas Pete, hot sauce. It's not Louisiana. Don't do it. It's the Texas Pete. It's got vinegar
I'm
in it.
taking notes. I'm totally taking notes.
It's got
So
vinegar. You need the Texas Pete. It's
Texas hot liquid smoke. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
and
Okay.
you put that in the base as you're sauteing the onions. So you put that in the bottom. You don't wait to the top. You do it at the top later, but at the beginning, you make sure that's at the bottom.
Don, I'm going to ask you if you could unshare your screen, please.
Oh, sure.
And we had someone actually we promoted because she wanted to actually talk to you directly on screen.
I think
There
I
we go.
did.
Hello, Melissa. Melissa, where are you
Hi.
located? Hi, where are you located, Melissa?
Hello. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Melissa,
How
where
are you? Thank you
I'm
so
great.
much.
Melissa, where are you calling from?
I am from the Detroit area.
Okay.
And so Dawn's presentation speaks to me very deeply. And I'll say that I am a nutrition professor at a university in the Detroit area, and um, so there's a lot of things happening with Detroit in terms of nutrition research. And one of the things that I had wanted to do was to reach out to food pantries and try to promote more plant-based products in food pantries. And Detroit is an 88% African American population. And I definitely feel imposter syndrome sometimes and thinking about like, I'm a middle-aged white woman and reaching out to communities that I would love to help, but I know that I'm not one of them. So I just wanted to, I know that this is a big question and just wanted to reach out to see if you had thoughts about that or ideas about how to engage the community in the best way without, you know, I absolutely don't want to be someone that's like acting like I know what's best for the community or anything like that. So I'll start there and see what
Okay.
you have.
Well, thank you for being someone who wants to help the community. You know, you're not an imposter. We all are the same. We're all one human race, but we're so confused by it because society has messed us up over hundreds and thousands of years. But yes, the reality is you're in Detroit, and it is important that you reach out to the Black church leaders or your political leaders. You know, they want you to come and help. They just don't know. Oh, what happened? Oh, she's
Should
still.
I mute?
Oh, no, you're fine. No, you're fine. They want you to come. They want you to come and help. They just don't, you just have to make the connection. And I know you're not an imposter. Don't say things like that because it's not true. You have a heart for the community and you want to help. And you know how important it is to help because you know that you know about the disproportionality and the disenfranchisement. And we need allies. So it is important that you make the right connections. NAACP, Urban League, in your state cities, if they saw you coming, they'd say, what, nutrition? Come on, can you come help? They have programs already. The biggest black churches in the community, or even the Latino churches, they need you. They'll bring an interpreter. I've worked with the Latino. If you go to the right church and talk to the person, they'll get an interpreter to come with you and help with the thing. As long as you make food they got to taste it first if you're making food. Especially in Latino community, they're funny. We won't, in African American community, we won't taste it first, but just don't bring the edamame salad. But
One of the things that we have in Rochester, New York, that I would have never ever thought about is, well, we've got this thing called Common Ground Health, and they work with the barber shops and the beauty parlors, and they put together a symposium every year. And like that's like where people get information on health, is at the barber shop and beauty parlors, because they're there regularly, and they end up being like these trusted places where you go. So they end up doing a symposium every year that I end up getting to talk about food and, plant-based eating in some way, some sort of lifestyle medicine in some way. But it may end up being a surprising place, because I knew the churches are a great place to go, but I would have never have thought that the barbershop was going to be like a big source for this. But it makes sense. It really makes sense.
yeah, the barbers, as long as you have an ally, so that's when the ally thing comes in. Like, who do you know? This a beautician that owns the shop, right? Like, if it's a beauty shop, you can go in and say, hey, make a, take the beautician, the owner, not just direct anybody who's got a booth. It's a difference. The booth renter and the owner are different people, right? So get the booth own the rent, the person who owns that, take them, I maybe connection with them. But I would say the easiest connection for Detroit would be a Black church or NAACP or Urban League, or even a city council representative in a district that is disenfranchised and is in the middle of gentrification right now, or in the middle of just straight food apartheid, depending on that. But beauty shops and barbers shops, I mean, certainly it's where the conversations happen. But you have to definitely, definitely weird if you come in and you're not coming to get a cut. You're like, what you doing here?
Right. Here it's because they were all like, this was already established. And then I
Yeah,
just connected with
yeah.
that group, and it got me kind of in
I
front
mean,
of the
that's amazing. I
group.
mean,
But it was just like an unexpected, like, really? This is a group of barbershops? And
but see, that's amazing that the connection. See, but the collaboration, and you're talking and you're making difference, and that's what Melissa wants to do. So just try that, Melissa. Try those folks, and again, there's Urban League, there's NAACP. The NAACP is going to get you older population. Urban League is going to get you a little bit younger. But as for is the CEO of the Urban League in your area, and then of course there are also other programs that have kids already that are in programs, and maybe talk to them. But I guess I would go more adults first, and then I would try kids. So NAACP, Urban League, and the Black Church. Just pick one. In Detroit, there are about 10,000. About
Thank you
10,000.
so much.
You're welcome. And
Yeah,
thank you. How long have you been a nutritionist? We're really excited about what you're doing.
I've been in academia for over 10 years. So yeah.
Okay.
But
Well, thank you for what you're doing. It makes a difference.
I think it's fascinating, this the idea about like promoting plant-based foods in other cultures than my own, that I think the common conception is that, well, this is a privileged thing and no other communities are interested in this. And so I think that's something that I'm really interested in dispelling. And so your words are so powerful and important, and I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. So remember, black eyed peas, okra, many of the vegetables that are here in America come from Africa, from slavery. We brought them over. African women put it in there, tied it into their hair, braided into their hair to bring those seeds to this country. So there's a rich history, an ancestral history to be so trust me, we just have to be reminded in our communities that we came from a community that loved plants. We just forgot about them.
Melissa, thank you so much for contributing.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. We do have a question about what is chiffonade. So,
Chiffonade is a very who has anyway. Chiffonade is a very thin cut.
Dr. Malinchak asked that.
It's a very thin cut, a very thin it's a very thin slice. After you roll it, and it's very thin, and it's long, and it presents well if you're plating.
Got
But
it.
it tastes the same. It just presents, and it cooks faster.
Okay, cool. I'm going to do a quick share and then I'm going to bring everybody back again here. Just want to remind everybody that we have our upcoming programs. We run the 15-day Whole Food Plant-Based Jumpstart every month. We also run the Lift Project on a regular basis, and we have health coaching. So just to remind everybody that we are a nonprofit. We do appreciate any donations you're willing to make. So if one of our staff could please post that in the chat, and I'm going to stop sharing. And it's 8:29. Dr. Graff, any final questions for Dr.?
Just one question left, which was just asking about where those disenfranchised communities can get comprehensive testing and longer session care. And unless you're in New York City, I don't really know the answer to that, but they've got a wonderful lifestyle medicine programs all around New York City now. So, but do you know of any other resources for that in your community in Charlotte or in general?
So lifestyle, so whole food plant-based medicine here is not, I mean, in the South, it's not robust. I mean, I do know doctors here, but I don't know anywhere I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually particularly common. It's not really common anywhere in the country yet, to be perfectly honest.
But we do.
Not covered well by insurance, and it's just, it's really problematic.
So Power is Giving, that's one of the things we're doing in 2026. We have two physicians and a nurse practitioner on our board. So we will roll that into our program offerings as we do our lunch and learns and our summits. We will offer that testing at our programs.
Wonderful.
Great.
Yep. But right now, it's just that when you get tested, I mean, okay, but you get there was a question about testing. So then what? You know, it's almost like the movie, What's the Health? It was a great movie. And then what? You know, you have to have the connecting. That's why it's important to have programs and communities and collaborations like this where we can help each other as a resource. Yeah. So I really appreciate being on today.
Oh, we loved having you. Yeah, thanks. By the way, Carrie, I think you did ask my wife's question about what Dawn's best recipes are. Did you ask that question or not? What you did? And I wasn't
she did.
Okay,
she did.
okay.
And I kind of dodged it.
Oh, you did. Okay.
I answered
All right.
Stuff. We're gonna start talking about collard greens.
We started talking about collard greens. When we start talking about collard greens, it's over. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't typically buy them, and I love them. Every time I make them, I'm like, this is really good. So I don't know what my problem is. I need to just get this ready.
My favorite dish, and I'll say this is my last thing I'll say, I probably hear. Cream kale. So kale. I love lacinido kale. And you can do that in community, and it gives it because it has it's not curly. So it gives the look of collards without the bitterness, and it's a quicker cook. And you can add roasted garlic to it and nutritional yeast and coconut milk, and it becomes a creamed kale. And it is absolutely amazing. You can put leeks in it if you want to, but it creams coconut kale. Coconut milk, nutritional yeast, garlic powder or roasted garlic, and lacinido kale. It'll change your life. That's all I got.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. On that note, I think we're going to say goodnight. Dawn, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Dr. Graff, thank you for fielding the questions. Dr. Graff is our medical director. And with that, I am going to thank Serena Farb, who's in the background engineering this event, and we'll see you all soon. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Dawn. That was awesome.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Thank you.